me.
Hey everyone, that's Elliot.
That's Wes, and he actually liked The Last Jedi.
This is In Between Two Nerds, the show where we talk about all the movies that we nerds care about. And today, you guessed it, we're talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So this movie, for whatever reason, has been super polarizing amongst Star Wars fans, casual fans alike. And so we're
traditional fans.
Yeah, all fans of shapes and sizes and religious backgrounds. Everyone has a really strong opinion, it seems, on this movie. So we're just going to kind of go through and dissect our kind of stances on it and debate certain plot points and certain things
and
come
plot
out.
holes, because there are a few.
Feelings will be hurt. Blood will be shed.
Friendships will be lost.
Yeah, so if you are in any way...
Shields shall be splintered. Swords shall be broken.
So if you don't care about Star Wars, why'd you click on the video? Why'd you do it? You shouldn't even be here.
By the way, there's going to be spoilers.
Spoilers.
Obviously.
This is a huge spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, I mean, what are you doing?
Why haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks now. I mean, it's kind of late to make a video on it, so really should be late enough to see it. Yeah, so you really should go out and see it. So this is your official spoiler warning.
Hey, watch out!
Now that we've got that out of the way, let's just kind of jump into it. We're going to kind of go back and forth, just our feelings on it, and then get more into the specifics. So, as Elliot kind of already pointed out, I enjoyed the movie. I'm not praising this as the best Star Wars movie. It's certainly by far not the worst Star Wars movie. I thought it was a good time. I've seen it a few times. There's things I don't like about it, but the things that I like about it certainly outweigh. The pros outweigh the cons for me is essentially kind of my take on it. Elliot,
yeah,
where are you on this?
I think the first time I watched it, it was good. I was like, okay, this is okay. Parts of it I was like, what? Second time I watched it, I liked it better the second time, but that might have been because we watched Justice League literally 2 minutes before we walked into there. And so I was like, wow, this movie rocks.
Yeah, anything compared to Justice League is infinitely better.
No, but then the more I thought about it, and when I went home, I was like, Last Jedi confirmed was not as good as I was expecting / hoping it would be.
And that's a good point that you brought up there, like how hoped it would be. So, in my opinion right now,
this was supposed to be the last Star Wars movie of all time to top all of them.
Yeah, I think that's what people were kind of thinking and saying in this age of kind of social media and expectations that The Force Awakens left. We got a little overhyped, I think, most of us, even myself. And I still like the movie, but
and that's valid. That's a valid point.
Everybody got really, really hype over this movie. That's not the movie's fault. That's our fault. I mean,
this is going to be so long. This video could be like literally 3 hours.
We really could talk about this movie for a long time. So
I thought of it the other day. I think you and I have talked on the phone or in person about this movie. A grand total of at least 6 hours.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
I'm going to try to shorten that down for this video. So about the expectations, I think some of it was fair, some of it's not. But bottom line, let me drop a truth bomb on you guys right now. Are you ready?
Drop it now.
Star Wars fans have a horrible track record reacting to Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
That's it.
Kind of, yeah, pretty much.
If you look back at The Phantom Menace, everybody came out of that movie loving it.
That won't be necessary.
Oh, but it is. It is demanded by the gods, it is.
We ate it up. We loved that movie. And, nowadays people, can say it's good, it's bad, it's whatever, but Phantom Menace isn't that great. People were claiming it was the best Star Wars movie when it came out. You can go back and look at people being interviewed after the Phantom Menace came out. People loved it.
Wasn't that great?
No,
I mean,
not at all.
I liked it though. It
has
a special place in my heart. Horrible. I'd watch it right now, but it wasn't great. No, it wasn't amazing.
It's not this miracle of film. Same thing. When Rogue One came out, people were helming it as the best Star Wars movie since Empire. I can't tell you how many times.
I was one of those.
Yeah.
After I walked out of the theater, I was like, wow, that was
and
so awesome.
Rogue One is good.
Saw it again, and I was like, yeah.
But you go back. How many times have you rewatched Rogue One? How many times have you actually wanted to rewatch Rogue One? How many? They're like, no, nobody does. Nobody says that. So it was good. It's a good movie, but it's not. It's not the best since Empire. It's not better than any of the original trilogy. And
No.
even back when Empire Strikes Back came out, I wasn't alive. You weren't alive, but we've heard people talking about it. How they left the theater kind of disappointed. How
Yeah.
Empire kind of left things hanging.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
If you wanted to start off just saying what things that you saw that you may have not liked, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth, positive and a negative.
Man.
Just our takes on the hot takes that people have been talking about for weeks about this movie.
One thing that I didn't like, and I could go into greater depth with this, was Leia flying through the air. Like, what in the world? I understand that she had the Skywalker Force blood in her,
Right.
but there was never any indication that she had that ability. And to put a long story short, or a long opinion short, I don't like how Disney has been making the Force seem like a mutant X-Men power. The Force is not a superpower. It's a thing that's in the world that you use if you train enough for it. And one of my other issues with this movie was that Disney's just like throwing out the Force left and right to whoever wants it. Why was that in there? Like,
Right.
maybe if they
No.
had hinted beforehand, hey, she's dabbled in the Force. Maybe she can, throw herself
If they
across
did something
space.
in like
Maybe
The
she can
Force
hold her breath
Awakens,
for 5
because
minutes.
like they hinted at The Return of the Jedi, but you never see it. If they had given us some precursor to that, maybe it wouldn't have hit as hard. My bigger problem with it is Leia doesn't do a single thing throughout the whole movie. Like, if you notice that. She's in a coma for the whole movie.
The
Like,
only
you
thing
have-
she did was back
Yeah.
up that horrible leader with the purple hair.
right at the end.
And you're like, she's
No.
terrible.
Yeah, so, and that kind of makes me sad just because of the situation with Carrie Fisher, and they didn't know that was going to happen, so maybe
No.
she was supposed to get a larger part in the next movie, but it just happens. Like, you did not use Leia at all in this movie. So that kind of made me more upset than the actual flying thing.
Yeah, it was missed. Yeah, they didn't.
Missed kind of a poor execution, because it would be cool to see Leia use the Force. I think we can both agree that, but just the way it was done was kind of weird.
It's like one of the many things in this movie that like could have been really good or were good, but they could have been great. And they didn't quite do it. It's like, oh wow, you're about to do something really great here, and then they all of a sudden go like, oh yeah, no, here we're gonna not do that.
Watch this.
Watch what?
Going on to this kind of a positive side, the acting in this movie, especially the character development between Kylo Ren and Rey, was fantastic.
Pretty good.
Daisy Ridley does a fantastic job. Adam Driver is phenomenal as Kylo Ren.
I'm about to eat nachos! It's the greatest moment of my life! Unless you screw it up with whatever it is you're about to say.
It just, when it's all said and done, though, sometimes the acting can't really save the whole movie.
Traitor!
You were essentially, again, not only did they kind of waste Leia, they wasted Finn, too, because
They did.
He is so charismatic. John Boyega plays Finn. You have like a character almost everyone can relate to, and everybody loved in the Force Awakens. And then you have him kind of go off to this planet to do. You're trying to find the code breaker to get back. It's like if they would have stayed there, if they would have just said, "Hey, Rose was the code breaker," and try to sneak her on board, I feel like that would have made it a little more clean. And it just. Not that, exploring, not that exploring and stuff is bad. It's just that it's a very uneven story. You have some of the best Star Wars storylines in that Luke talking to Rey about why the Jedi should end, and the connection between Kylo Ren and Rey was fantastic. It was some of the best stuff. Like if you have if you have like a 40-minute movie of just that, you have like almost the best Star Wars movie ever because of how good it was.
Yeah, if they did that right and continued. That would have been great. In the first movie, it was acceptable that Finn was like clumsily stumbling through the whole movie because he's an ex-stormtrooper. He's trying to figure out his way in the universe. He's just like, like doing that breathing thing when he's in the desert. But it's like, but now you think, oh, maybe he can get a grip on himself and make a name for himself.
And it was interesting where
and
they
the
were
first
going
thing he
with
does
it,
is goes and wastes his time.
Yeah, because it was interesting how he was about. He really doesn't care. Like he's a good guy, and I think now that this movie's wrapped up, he's gonna stick with the rebels. But he was about to leave. He really only cares about Rey. He was trying to get as far away from the First Order as possible, and I'm glad they kind of kept that going with this movie. But then it just gets kind of messy when they leave and go to that planet, and then when they come back, none of it really matters.
We could talk for an hour about why that was a
just
terrible
pointless.
storyline.
We'll just cut it off there.
Next, and Luke's attitude. I
don't have a problem with this.
I sort of do. I am all for the battle-hardened veteran wizard mentor warrior character. Logan's a great example.
Have you seen Logan?
Have you seen Logan? You should. I am all for that hardened, like grizzled old man character who's like, yeah,
Elliot will eventually become a hard, grizzled old man.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm working towards it. And then to come back after getting teased about Luke in The Force Awakens, to see him back now and literally just like take the lightsaber and throw it over his shoulder, leave, and just be a grumpy old man through the whole movie. I would have liked to have seen a transition time where you see more of why that happened. Granted, they did tell you why he was like that.
That was going to be my point.
But they didn't spend enough time on it to the point where I was like, oh, okay, this is justified. And even if it was justified, why did they choose to make him that? I think Mark Hamill even said this himself. Luke was the symbol of hope for the entire universe.
For a long time.
And they just trashed him. And if they had changed it to the point where halfway through the movie, maybe, he had changed his mind. Not at the end, because that goes into the other thing I didn't like. At the end of the movie, when he does change his mind, he dies! I mean, look at this action right here.
Yeah,
see, there Luke is. He is the symbol of good fighting evil. And in this movie, he was just like, it's time for the Jedi to end.
Yeah, and so I like that they took the time, they showed it. I think they did a good job with that. The end, they flip-flopped it back. So I'm still holding on to my opinion that they did a good job with that, because Mark Hamill does a great job acting as Luke, and it does. When I first saw it, it was confusing why he was so hard and grizzled. I've seen it a few more times now, and
A few? How many times have you watched?
I've seen it 3 times.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't have a problem with it, especially going back and seeing what exactly Kylo Ren did to him, and how devastating and heartbreaking that is for Luke. You build up this Jedi temple, and then Padawans are dead. They're killed.
Yeah.
Or half of them, and then the others turn to the dark side. That just sucks. So
yeah.
I think that, either way, there's stuff with Luke that, I think comes down to personal opinion. Yoda was in this movie. Yoda was great. I wasn't expecting that. That was good.
I mean, like I've told you before, I loved the fact that when Yoda comes back, I didn't like this part. At first, when he's just and the whole Jedi temple, whatever, blows up, and he starts laughing, I was just like, oh no, are they going to make Yoda evil? That will be the last straw.
No.
But then after
He's
that,
secretly a Sith Lord.
he is Snoke. After that, he just turns to Luke and he starts teaching Luke, just like he always used to. And
felt
I was
like Star Wars. Yeah.
Even though Luke is the last Jedi and he's a master, he's still being taught. And I was like,
Nachos!
The score was fantastic, especially where it's like dun 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 dun. That was great. That was great. That whole thing was great. There's a lot of great moments, when
he did a burnout in the
X-Wing. That was great. This movie has great moments. I can't say, just from strictly a film, putting Star Wars aside, if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, this wouldn't be a movie that I'd say is good. Because you have great score, you have great acting, you have, good special effects, but the story is just kind of all over the place. And like I said, it has more moments than anything. It's just moment kind of after moment, or the good Star Wars moments don't fix a messy story.
You're right.
But that being said, like I said, this movie probably falls right underneath the original trilogy for me and the Force Awakens. Like, I don't think any of the prequels are better than it.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Throne room.
The throne room scene.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of people complaining that there wasn't any like lightsaber on lightsaber action, but if you give me a scene like the throne room scene where you have Rey and Kylo fighting in slow motion against people with swords, then those awful fight scenes from Revenge of the Sith where you have old Ian McDiarmid trying to fight Samuel Jackson. So I'd rather have a non-lightsaber fight in a Star Wars movie than anything bad. Because
that was really cool.
It was so cool, yeah.
That was like a moment in a TV show.
It took my breath away,
oh!
Yeah.
But like every other...
There's a butt with that?
There's a butt with that, man. A big one. Like every other good moment in this movie, though, it could have been way better.
How could that have been better?
The fight itself could not have been better.
No, you're completely wrong. You're completely wrong.
No! It was a great fight scene. It was wonderful. I didn't like the resolution. The resolution was it ended the same way the fight began. There's a bad guy. There's a good guy. I was like...
It's not... There's another movie.
Well... Here, idea, right now. He had tried to kill Snoke. It didn't work. The two of them worked together, and then they escape. Kylo Ren's a good guy now, and they're trying to beat Snoke in this last movie.
That's great, but that didn't happen.
I know. That's why I'm mad.
Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
Snoke's dead. So many people have a problem with this. I cannot for the life of me understand why. Because
Darth Maul didn't die.
Darth Maul, he got a show though. So maybe Snoke will get a show. I don't know, but
cartoon show.
Sure, Snoke, The Adventures of Snoke. But so the thing is, Snoke's death shouldn't bother anyone. The Emperor died.
It was shocking, and I liked it.
It was shocking, yeah. So just don't be disappointed. It was good. Like, don't say it's a waste, because it's not. The Emperor Emperor Palpatine had less screen time until the prequels came out. And don't tell me if you give Andy Serkis 3 more movies as Snoke that you're not just as impressed, because you would be. But he's probably not going to get 3 prequel movies talking about Snoke. I don't think anyone wants that. Which every Sith character has said, okay, join me and we'll overthrow who's ever on top. And Kylo actually did it. He killed the person above him. That was cool.
That's true. But you feel like being a Sith Lord isn't a very good business to be in, because know you're going to try to
you're going to get
somebody's going to try to kill you at some point.
Yeah.
It's treason, then.
The one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because this is a hot topic for Elliot and I, is the treatment of the Force. So when Force Awakens start, we get introduced to Kylo Ren back when that came out, and when he Force stops the laser bullet coming toward him, we've never seen that before.
That was cool.
I think this movie did a good job expanding the lore. There's just the story is where it gets kind of jumbled.
The Force abilities that they added in, I have no problem with.
Right.
It's how flippantly
they give it out.
They hand out the Force. It's like I don't know. It's just they pass it out like crazy to the point where you're like, I thought you
I would challenge that for a second. Hold on. Ding ding, like challenge. But so who do they hand it out to other than Leia?
That kid at the end.
So the kid, we don't know who. Like, he just used the Force to pull something. He wasn't doing anything crazy.
Using the Force to pull a broom into your hand is pretty crazy. I've tried that my whole life and it's not worked. Yeah, the Force is not a power that some people have and some people don't.
Elliot's completely wrong about that. No, not about that, but they don't hand it out to people. I don't think they do.
The midichlorians.
When people complaining about Rey using the Force, like if you look back at the first movie, Luke doesn't use the Force except to blow up the freaking Death Star, which is kind of a
all he had to do is change the trajectory or just aim correctly.
If he can do that without any training, Broom Kid can get the broom.
But Ben Kenobi helped him.
Hello there.
All in all, I think that like there's still really strong opinions on this, but overall, I think people are overreacting negatively to this movie. In the past, Star Wars fans have reacted positively because we're trying to convince ourselves that it's good. In this case, I think more people are like complaining because the expectations were so high, and whenever you get expectations lofted up there, it's gonna disappoint.
Don't expect anything good in life, kids.
That's the
Ever.
moral
Ever.
of the story. Yeah.
Charge. I'm in charge now, Phasma. I'm in charge. Bring it down. Bring it down.
And I think in time, after the expectations have faded and we go back and watch this movie, no one's going to have an issue with her parents being nobody. And here's why. Because you have, it's kind of like the opposite. I almost don't want, like, Kylo Ren's already somebody's kid. I don't want everybody to be somebody's kid. That's not the thing.
Yeah.
I'm okay with her parents being nobody, and greatness doesn't always have to come from the bloodline. Just because your parents were great doesn't mean you need to be great. Your parents can be, you know, scumbags who sold you for drinking money. Like, that's okay. And then that the whole thing is almost kind of like a mirrored image of what the fans had. Because Rey herself is told by Maz Kanata that the answer is right in front of you. She just doesn't want to see it. Her parents are nobody. And for the people who think that Rey's parents are actually somebody and it's just a lie, you're doing it to yourselves again. You're setting yourself up for expectations when you shouldn't. This is a really good story. Just because her parents are nobody and that she came from nothing doesn't mean we have to appreciate the character of Rey any less. It's really good. I think it's really good.
That is a very Disney storyline, though, if you think about it.
What, coming from nothing?
Yeah.
I mean, Disney does hate parents, so it's possible. But
You
at
heard
the
it
same
here.
time, I think it was well done, and it shocks.
Rey.
It shocks the audience as much as it shocks Rey, because that's a big deal. She's always looking for a place of belonging, and then to find out her parents were nobody, that's kind of heartbreaking. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I really did. I liked Rey. I liked Kylo.
Yeah.
I liked Luke, but I only liked Luke because he was Luke. The things he did, I wasn't a huge fan of. But, you know.
Overall, what would you rate the movie? Like, either where it falls in the movies or just give it a score?
I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Maybe 5.5 out of 10.
5.5 out of 10. I'd give it probably like closer to like a 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah. So there we are. That's our thoughts on The Last Jedi. So, again, comment down below what you thought. Did you like it? Did you hate it?
Tell us why he's wrong.
Tell us why he's wrong. And then, you know, just like it's inevitable at this point, get overhyped for the next Star Wars movie.
Yeah, get overhyped and get ready.
Who's ready for Solo?
Oh, gosh.
I'm